Hare Krishna. Welcome all of you for today's Bhagavad Gita reading session. Let us begin with prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is by His Divine Grace Vishwaguru Abhay Charanaravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Chapter 15 entitled The Yoga of the Supreme Person. Text 8. शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहीत्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात्. Synonyms: Shariram, body, Yat, as much as, Avapnoti, gets, Yat, that which, Cha, also, Api, virtually, Utkramati, gives up, Ishvaraha, the Lord of the body, Gruhitva, taking, Etani, all these, Samyati, goes away, Vayuhu, air, Gandhan, smell, Iva, like, Ashayat, from the flower. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another as the air carries aroma. Purport. Here, the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade, and if he likes, he can move to a lower class. Minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends upon him. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on to the next type of body. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or dog, he is sure to change to a cat's or dog's body. And if he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It is a false claim that after the annihilation of this body, everything is finished. The individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are the background of his next body. One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. It is stated here that the subtle body, which carries the conception of the next body, develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or struggle for existence. Text 9. Shrotram chakshusparshanam cha rasanam grahanam cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. Synonyms: Shrotram, ears; Chakshuhu, eyes; Sparshanam, touch; Cha, also; Rasanam, tongue, Ghranam, smelling power, Eva, also, Cha, and, Adhishtaya, being situated, Manaha, mind, Cha, also, Ayam, this, Vishayan, sense objects, Upasevate, enjoys. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, tongue, and nose, and sense of touch, which are grouped about the mind. He thus enjoys a particular set of sense objects. Purport: in other words, if the living entity adulterates his consciousness with the qualities of cats and dogs, in his next life he gets a cat or dog body and enjoys. Consciousness is originally pure like water, but if we mix water with a certain color, it changes. Similarly, consciousness is pure, for the spirit soul is pure, but consciousness is changed according to the association of the material qualities. Real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. When, therefore, one is situated in Krishna consciousness, he is in his pure life. But if his consciousness is adulterated by some type of material mentality, in the next life he gets a corresponding body. He does not necessarily get a human body again. He can get the body of a cat, dog, hog, demigod, or one of many other forms, for there are 8,400,000 species. Text 10. उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः. Synonyms: Utkramantam, quitting the body, Sthitam, situated in the body, Vapi, either, Bhunjanam, enjoying, Va, or, Guna Anvitam, under the spell of the modes of material nature, Vimudhaha, foolish persons, Na, never, Anupashyanti, can see, Pashyanti, one can see, Jnana-chakshushaha, one who has the eyes of knowledge. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: the foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, nor can they understand what sort of body he enjoys under the spell of the modes of nature. But one whose eyes are trained in knowledge can see all this. Purport: the word Jnana-chakshushaha is very significant. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how a living entity leaves his particular present body, nor what form of body he is going to take in the next life, nor even why he is living in a particular type of body. This requires a great amount of knowledge understood from Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures heard from a bona fide spiritual master. One who is trained to perceive all these things is fortunate. Every living entity is quitting his body under certain circumstances. He is living under certain circumstances and enjoying under certain circumstances under the spell of material nature. As a result, he is suffering different kinds of happiness and distress under the illusion of sense enjoyment. Persons who are everlastingly fooled by lust and desire lose all power of understanding their change of body and their stay in a particular body. They cannot comprehend it. Those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and is changing its body and enjoying in different ways. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material existence. Therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general, for their conditional life is very much troublesome. They should come out of it and be Krishna conscious and liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world. Text 11. Yatanto yoginashchainam pasyantyatmanyavasthitam yatantopyakritaatmano nainam pasyantyachetasaha. Synonyms: Yatantaha, endeavoring; Yoginaha, transcendentalists; Cha, also; Enam, this; Pashyanti, can see; Atmani, in the self; Avasthitam, situated; Yatantaha, although endeavoring; Api, although; Akrita Atmanaha, Akrita Atmanaha, without self realization. Na, does not; enam, this; pashyanti, can see; achetasaha, undeveloped mind. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The endeavoring transcendentalist, who is situated in self realization, can see all this clearly. But those who are not situated in self realization cannot see what is taking place, although they may try to. Purport: There are many transcendentalists in the path of spiritual self realization, but one who is not situated in self realization cannot see how things are changing in the body of the living entity. The word yoginaha is significant in this connection. In the present day, there are many so called yogis, and there are many so called associations of yogis, but they are actually blind in the matter of self realization. They are simply addicted to some sort of gymnastic exercise and are satisfied if the body is well built and healthy. They have no other information. They are called yatantopi akritatmanaha. Even though they are endeavoring in so-called yoga system, they are not self-realized. Such people cannot understand the process of the transmigration of the soul. Only those who are actually in the yoga system and have realized the self, the world, and the Supreme Lord, in other words, the Bhakti yogis, those engaged in pure devotional service in Krishna consciousness, can understand how things are taking place. Text 12. यदादित्यगतं तेजो जगद्भासयतेऽखिलम् यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम्. Synonyms: Yat, that which; Adityagatam, in the sunshine; Tejaha, splendor; Jagat, the whole world; Bhasayate, illuminates; Akhilam, entirely; Yat, that which; Chandramasi, in the moon; Yat, that which; Cha, also; Agnav, in the fire; Tat, that; Tejaha, splendor; Vidhi, understand; Mamakam, from me. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of fire, are also from me. Purport. The unintelligent cannot understand how things are taking place. The beginning of knowledge can be established by understanding what the Lord explains here. Everyone sees the sun, moon, fire, and electricity. One should simply try to understand that the splendor of the sun, the splendor of the moon, and the splendor of electricity or fire are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In such a conception of life, the beginning of Krishna consciousness, lies a great deal of advancement for the conditioned soul in this material world. The living entities are essentially the parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, and He is giving herewith the hint how they can come back to Godhead, back to home. From this verse, we can understand that the sun is illuminating the whole solar system. There are different universes and solar systems, and there are different suns, moons, and planets also. Sunlight is due to the spiritual effulgence in the spiritual sky of the Supreme Lord. With the rise of the sun, the activities of human beings are set up. They set fire to prepare their foodstuff. They set fire to start the factories, etc. So many things are done with the help of fire. Therefore, sunrise, fire, and moonlight are so pleasing to the living entities. Without their help, no living entity can live. So, if one can understand that the light and splendor of the sun, moon, and fire are emanating from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, then one's Krishna consciousness will begin. By the moonshine, all the vegetables are nourished. The moonshine is so pleasing that people can easily understand that they are living by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Without His mercy, there cannot be sun. Without His mercy, there cannot be moon. And without His mercy, there cannot be fire. And without the help of sun, moon, and fire, no one can live. These are some thoughts to provoke Krishna consciousness in the conditioned soul. Text 13. Gamavisya च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधी च सर्वाः सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः. Synonyms: Gam, the planets; Avishya, entering; Cha, also; Bhutani, living entities; Dharayami, sustaining; Aham, I; Ojasa, by my energy; Pushnami, nourishing; Cha, and; Aushadhihi, all vegetables; Sarvaha, all; Somaha, the moon; Bhutva, becoming; Rasa Atmakaha, supplying the juice. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead continued. I enter into each planet, and by my energy they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Purport: It is understood that all the planets are floating in the air only by the energy of the Lord. The Lord enters into every atom, every planet, and every living being. That is discussed in the Brahma Samhita. It is said there that one plenary portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma, enters into the planets, the universe, the living entity, and even into the atom. So, due to his entrance, everything is appropriately manifested. When the spirit soul is there, a living man can float on the water. But when the living spark is out of the body and the body is dead, it sinks. Of course, when it is decomposed, it floats just like straw and other things. But as soon as the man is dead, he at once sinks in the water. Similarly, all these planets are floating in space, and this is due to the entrance of the supreme energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. His energy is sustaining every planet, just like a handful of dust. If someone holds a handful of dust, there is no possibility of the dust falling, but if one throws it in the air, it will fall down. Similarly, these planets, which are floating in air, are actually held in the fist of the universal form of the Supreme Lord. By his strength and energy, all moving and unmoving things stay in their place. It is said that because of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the sun is shining and the planets are steadily moving. Were it not for him, all the planets would scatter like dust in air and perish. Similarly, it is due to the Supreme Personality of Godhead that the moon nourishes all vegetables. Due to the moon's influence, the vegetables become delicious. Without the moonshine, the vegetables can neither grow nor taste succulent. Human society is working, living comfortably, and enjoying food due to the supply from the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, mankind could not survive. The word rasatmakaha is very significant. Everything becomes palatable by the agency of the Supreme Lord through the influence of the moon. Text 14. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninaam Dehamashritah Pranapanasama Pachamyannam Chaturvidham. Synonyms: Aham, I, Vaishvanaraha, by my plenary portion as the digesting fire, Bhutva, becoming, Praninam, of all living entities, Deham, body, Ashritaha, situated, Prana, outgoing air, Apana, downgoing air, Samayuktaha, keep balance, Pachami, digest, Annam, foodstuff, Chaturvidham, four kinds of. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: I am the fire of digestion in every living body, and I am the air of life, outgoing and incoming, by which I digest the four kinds of foodstuff. Purport: according to Ayurvedic Shastra, we understand that there is a fire in the stomach which digests all food sent there. When the fire is not blazing, there is no hunger, and when the fire is in order, we become hungry. Sometimes, when the fire is not going nicely, treatment is required. In any case, this fire is representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedic mantras also confirm that the Supreme Lord or Brahman is situated in the form of fire within the stomach and is digesting all kinds of foodstuff. Therefore, since he is helping the digestion of all kinds of foodstuff, the living entity is not independent in the eating process. Unless the Supreme Lord helps him in digesting, there is no possibility of eating. He thus produces and digests foodstuff, and by his grace, we are enjoying life. In the Vedanta Sutra, this is also confirmed. Shabdadibhyontaha pratishthanach. The Lord is situated within sound and within the body, within the air, and even within the stomach as the digestive fire. digestive force. There are four kinds of foodstuff. Some are swallowed, some are chewed, some are licked up, and some are sucked. And he is the digestive force for all of them. Text 15. सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तस्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम्. Synonyms: Sarvasya, of all living beings, Cha, and Aham, I, Hrudi, in the heart, Sannivishtaha, being situated, Mattaha, from me, Smritihi, remembrance, Jnanam, knowledge, Apohanam cha, and forgetfulness, Vedaihi, by the Vedas, Cha, also, Sarvaihi, all, Aham, I am, Eva, certainly, Vedyaha, knowable, Vedanta Krit, the compiler of the Vedanta. Vedavit, the knower of the Vedas. Eva, certainly. Cha, and. Aham, I. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Translation: The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas am I to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Purport: The Supreme Lord is situated as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and it is from him that all activities are initiated. The living entity forgets everything of his past life, but he has to act according to the direction of the Supreme Lord, who is witness to all his work. Therefore, he begins his work according to his past deeds. Required knowledge is supplied to him, and remembrance is given to him, and he forgets also about his past life. Thus, the Lord is not only all pervading, he is also localized in every individual heart. He awards the different fruitive results. He is not only worshipable as the impersonal Brahman, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the localized Paramatma, but as the form of the incarnation of the Vedas as well. The Vedas give the right direction to the people so that they can properly mold their lives and come back to Godhead, back to home. The Vedas offer knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and Krishna, in his incarnation as Vyasadeva, is the compiler of the Vedanta Sutra. The commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva in the Srimad Bhagavatam gives the real understanding of Vedanta Sutra. The Supreme Lord is so full that for the deliverance of the conditioned soul, he is the supplier and digester of foodstuff, the witness of his activity, the giver of knowledge in the form of Vedas, and as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the teacher of the Bhagavad Gita. He is worshipable by the conditioned soul. Thus, God is all good, God is all merciful. Antaha pravishta shasta jananam. The living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again, initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his last life. So, not only does the living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord situated locally in the heart, but he receives the information to understand Vedas from him. If one is serious to understand the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. Vedic literature confirms this. Yosau sarvair vedair giyate. In all Vedic literature, beginning from the four Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, and the Upanishads and Puranas, the glories of the Supreme Lord are celebrated. By performing Vedic rituals, discussing the Vedic philosophy, and worshipping the Lord in devotional service, he is attained. Therefore, the purpose of the Vedas is to understand Krishna. The Vedas give us direction to understand Krishna and the process of understanding. The ultimate goal is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vedanta Sutra confirms this in the following words: Tattu Samanvaya. One can attain perfection by understanding Vedic literature, and one can understand his relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead by performing the different processes. Thus, one can approach him and at the end attain the supreme goal, who is no other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, however, the purpose of the Vedas, the understanding of the Vedas, and the goal of Vedas are clearly defined. We shall continue to read in the next session. Thank you for joining. Granthara Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.